Hey folks, how's it going? So one of the things that I've talked about a lot in some of my videos is about the Federal Reserve and their rate hikes. And one of the things that I keep going back to is how they are always slow to respond to changing market conditions. Uh, a good example of that is that when they're raising interest rates like they are now, they're hiking the rates. They'll continue to hike the rates even after they've passed the point where they should have pivoted. Uh, the result being, and they do this in the reverse as well. The result being that they always go past the point of where they should be changing direction. So then they have to overcorrect because they're slow to respond, and that overcorrection often uh, has catastrophic effects on the stock market. They can typically very easily cause a recession or a depression simply because they went too far one direction, they were late to pivot, and now they're having to hurry up and spin around and change direction, and then they have to hurry to try to catch up. That again causes them to go too far in the opposite direction, and then they have to pivot again in a hurry and try to catch up again. And this is just if you look at the Fed's history of rate hikes and drops, that they always go too far in one direction or the other, and then they respond slowly, and then they overreact, trying to correct. Well, I've said for a while now that the Fed is going to go too far. They're going to keep raising interest rates until it causes serious issues with the market. And by the time that they start to slow down or stop to wait and see how the market is responding, it's going to be too late. And then they're going to have to flip around and try to catch up. That's what's happening now. We're almost at that point. They've released an announcement that the next rate hike was only going to be 25 basis points. Now, up till now, they've been raising as much as 75 or 50 basis points per hike. This is the first time they've reduced that down to 25% or 25 basis points. And they're already talking about how they're only expecting maybe one or two more rate hikes this year, March and May, possibly May, before they actually stop, pause on all the hikes, and wait to see how the market responds. A lot of analysts and financial advisors I listen to and talk to, a lot of the articles that I read about, these experts talk about how the Fed should have already, months ago, stopped raising interest rates and paused in preparation of changing direction. But as we see, they're continuing to do it. They might be slowing down a little bit. They're just now talking about pausing in May, and but they're still talking about doing it. They're still raising rates. They're not. They haven't stopped yet. And there are even some that are still saying that we shouldn't take this slowdown as an indication that they're about to stop. So again, there's still a lot of uh, support for the Fed to continue raising rates regardless of what's happening to the economy. We're already starting to see weakness form in the economy. We're seeing massive layoffs from multiple companies. It started in the tech sector, it spread to the banking sector. Uh, a lot of retail places are already laying off, industrial are laying off, streamlining their businesses. And I think this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of a long run of uh, tightening on the employment sector, the labor market. We're going to see a lot of layoffs, a lot of streamlining. You're going to see a lot of companies push harder to go to automation because they know what's coming. They can look at the markets, they can look at all the indicators, and they can see the downturn that's coming. The economy is slowing down, and they got to get ready for it so that they don't go bankrupt in the process. It's all a stopgap measure to keep businesses alive and afloat through a downturn, an economic downturn. So, if we go by the article that I recently read, where Jerome Powell mentioned uh, they might pause after May, if we go based on that, you've got 3 or 4 months before uh, they pause all the rate hikes. And if you look at their history, how they always go past the point of no return and then respond late, well, we can take from that that there's a very good chance that there's a crash coming within the next 3 to 4 months. Now, I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen in 3 or 4 months because no one really knows, but the odds are extremely high that in May or a little after, we could see a sharp drop off in the economy and in the stock market. Uh, Now, we already know that the government has multiple ways of manipulating numbers to make things seem less severe than what they actually are. Uh, a lot of people have been talking about a recession is coming late this year. And again, I've already talked about this several times, how I believe we're already in a recession. Uh, it's just they're manipulating the numbers so that it doesn't send everybody into a panic. They have to do this because they're not quite ready yet. They want to draw this out as long as possible. And by they, I mean the people in power, the elites that control all of this. They want to draw this out as long as possible so that they can benefit the most from the crash. Uh, the longer they have, uh, the better they benefit from it because they can position their finances and resources to where they'll benefit while everybody else is suffering, while you and I are suffering. So, if you go based on, like I was saying, I got a little off track. If you go based on the Fed always being slow to respond and the fact that they're saying that they're going to pause in May, I believe in May or shortly thereafter, that's when we can see a crash coming. How sharp that crash is going to be, I can't say, but that's my belief. But that gives you 3 to 4 months to get ready. Now, you should have been getting ready all along, stocking food, stocking water, uh, building redundancy for systems of support that you need. All of these things that preppers are supposed to be doing, you should have been doing up till now. Uh, you have, I would say, 3 to 4 months before things get really, really bad. They're already bad, but it's going to get worse. Take advantage of the next 3 to 4 months. They could be the last time that you have to set yourself up before things really do start to fall apart. The reason I say this is, like I've said, we've already seen major layoffs, streamlining of businesses, and we're seeing more. And it's not going to be the end of it. Bed Bath and Beyond, they're closing stores. They're already looking at bankruptcy. I saw an article about how Hasbro is laying off thousands of employees. Other sectors are hiring in certain places, uh, but the vast majority of companies are either laying off or they're not hiring at all right now. This causes some serious problems. And again, this is just the beginning. I think this is just the beginning of a serious uh, tightening of the economy. There are some analysts and experts out there that say that what is coming towards the middle or end of this year is going to be so bad that it's going to make 2008 look like a picnic. And if you think about it, how many people lost their homes, how many people lost their jobs, the suicide rate that went up during that, and then the suicide rate that went up during the pandemic. If you think about all that, if what's coming is going to be that bad that it makes 2008 look like a picnic, that should scare you. That should seriously scare you. So, again, I could be completely wrong, but I believe you've got 3 to 4 months, maybe 5, of status quo before things really start to fall apart. So take advantage of those uh those months. Hopefully it'll last a little bit longer, but to be honest, I don't see how they can continue to draw this out uh much longer. I mean, now the government's got a way of kicking the can down the road longer and longer than I would have thought possible. Every time I think it's about to reach its end, they kick it down the road a little bit farther. The catch is every time they do that, it just makes it just means that when it does happen, it's going to be that much worse. Every delay is going to make it that much more painful. So take advantage of the time that you have right now. Take advantage of the income and the opportunities that you have now to get ready. I honestly believe we are running out of time quickly. Um, this is a very concerning time, and I know this comes off as doom and gloom and fear mongering and all of that, but I'm of the mindset that I would rather be prepared, aware, and prepared than ignorant and unprepared. That's just my thoughts. Anyway, that's all I've got for right now. I've got to get back into my shop and get back to work. I've had a lot of orders for knives, and that's keeping me busy for the past couple of days. Not that I'm complaining. I'm happy about that, and I'm trying to take advantage of it while I can. But anyway, I got to get back to work. So I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Uh, as always, take care, stay safe, keep prepping, don't get complacent. Look out for yourselves and your families, and look out for each other whenever possible. And until next time, folks, I'll catch you later.